Guys from AKG design their own mic. Leave AKG. Start their own company. Make mic like C414. Make it cheap. What's the moral? You should assign them to a non-compete. Also, this isn't a C414, just so you know. And to be fair, I can't find anyone from Lewitt that has made the claim that the LCT 440 is actually a challenger for the C414. If I'm wrong, promptly and viciously tell me down below. Now for the build quality, and I love how Lewitt didn't copy anyone here. The mic is all metal construction. There's a bit of give in the grill. I wouldn't press too hard on that. It would be the first thing to get damaged if it fell. As well with that grill, you're gonna notice that it's wide open, though you can see a bit more mesh for breath control in the front of the capsule, which just means the extra bit of control you get from the pop filter is actually a really nice addition. It is magnetized. It just pops on like that. The shock mount is all plastic, but it definitely does not feel cheap. And one last thing to note, it has a compression fitting for your microphone in the shock mount. It's not my favorite way to secure a microphone, but as long as it isn't upside down, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And you also get this foam windscreen with the microphone in case you're a pretty potent pea popper. The engineers behind the Lewitt are ex-AKG, and this is where it shows. This is a cardioid condenser microphone. It's 20 Hz to 20 kHz. The sensitivity is negative 31.2 dBV per Pascal. It has a dynamic range of 133 dBA weighted, signal to noise ratio of 87 dBA weighted, and a ridiculously low equivalent noise level of 7 dBA weighted, something that is super rare on this cheap of a microphone. And finally, this is the frequency response graph, which you can see is pretty straight in the low end, has a bit of a boost in the mids starting around 3 and 4K, and a presence boost beyond 10K. Time for the off-axis rejection test of the Lewitt LCT 440. This is me speaking about 5 inches into the front of the microphone. Now I'm speaking about 5 inches from the side of the microphone. Now I'm speaking about 5 inches in from the rear of the microphone. This thing's really hard to turn around. Now for the plosive rejection test of the Lewitt LCT 440. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now for the proximity effect test of the Lewitt LCT 440. This is me speaking about 5 inches off the front of the microphone. Now I'm about 1 inch off. 5 inches, 1 inch.
This one is called the Lewitt LCT 440. Aiden has advised me that this has been one of the most requested mics. However, if you ask me, it looks like a microphone. Actually, I don't even know if it looks like a microphone. So to the layperson's eyes, you may assume that this is just merely a microphone, but oh no, it's the LCT Lewitt 440.
So for our first comparison, we're going to do the Lewitt LCT 440 versus the AKG P420. A lot of fours in there. This is what they sound like. This one is the Lewitt LCT 440, and this one is the AKG P420. I'm going to get them mixed up so easily. Which one do you like? Do you prefer the Lewitt or do you prefer the AKG? Let me know down below. Now we have the Lewitt LCT 440 versus the Chonker, or at least that's what I call it, the NT2A. This was my first ever microphone that I bought for voiceover, and it's been kind of my baby since. I love this thing. I don't use it as much as I used to. I have a ton of microphones around to choose from, and the TLM102 kind of replaced this over the past 2-3 months. But this is the difference between the two microphones. You've got the Lewitt LCT 440, and you have the Rode NT2A. These are very close in price. They come similarly equipped. What do you think of the difference between the two of them? And finally, just to pull a podcastage, this is the Lewitt LCT 440, and this is the vintage 20-year-old Neumann U89i. This one costs about $250, I think, if I recall. This one's about $3,000. Actually, maybe a little bit more. Which one do you prefer? Do you like the Lewitt LCT 440 or do you like the Neumann U89i? Yeah, there's a video on this incoming. Stay tuned. Get subscribed. You might not want to miss that. I can't really find any cons with this microphone. I mean, the performance at this price point is pretty ridiculous. It beats out my NT2A in my mind and at a lesser cost. I guess if I were to split hairs, it's a tad bright for my sibilants, though to be honest, I'm just going to EQ profile that out. The airiness is actually quite nice, and I could see this being a really great instrumentation microphone. By the way, those tests are coming to this channel, including my embarrassingly shot-out playing skills. It's been absolute years. You're not going to want to miss that. Also, the lack of pickup patterns is where this might get overlooked for studio use, though you don't have to look far up the lineup for that, so eh. As for the pros, well, I've mentioned them already. All of the benefits of build quality of the NT2A, but in a much smaller package. I love the styling, I love the sound, and again, that price, this is a great microphone. Now, I know a lot of people have been requesting this review for some time, and honestly, it's been at the top of my list for some time as well. The NT2A was my first ever studio mic purchase for VO work, and I kind of wish I could go back and switch it out for this. Don't get me wrong, I still love my Rode, but damn, I would have saved a bunch of money and had an all-arounder mic. Kind of like the Rode NT2A. Anyways, this is another one of those unicorn microphones, much like the AKG Perception series. It punches way outside of its weight class. Good job, Lewitt. By the way, if you like this video, this one up here is the last unicorn mic that I tested. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next video.